today's video we're going to do the service on my Mercedes 300, so stay tuned and we'll show you how we're going to do that. So a lot of people think that you need to climb under your car when you're doing an oil change, that you're going to get dirty, and that's usually the reason why most people don't want to do their oil change. See, today we got one of these. This right here is a fluid extractor. You can actually use it for lots of other variety of things, such as brakes, if you're bleeding them, changing transmission fluid, so forth. But we're going to specifically use it today to change our oil. This way that you can put this little hose that you see here, and it goes on, put it on. There's different attachments for this device. Will feed down the dipstick tube and will suck all the oil out of the pan without the necessary need to get under the car and undo your drain bolt. And the thing that's so good about that on specifically your European cars, such as your Mercedes and so forth, the oil filter is on the top of the engine, which I will show you if you've never done an oil change on this car. You literally do not have to bend down, get up, nothing. It is the easiest car you could possibly change your oil on ever. This way you do not take your car to the Mercedes dealer and they charge you upwards of lots of hundreds of dollars to just do a service they call A or B, when it's really just technically a oil change with some inspections. And we can always inspect our own vehicle. That is very simple. Most of them, I will list a check-off in the description of things that they check when they do these services. And they're literally just checks. Outside of that, everything else costs extra if you end up needing those repaired. But let's hop on out to the car and we'll stick this in, and I'll show you exactly how it works. You want to warm the car up first and then let it kind of cool down a little bit, just so that the oil's not super thick or this pump doesn't want to work right. Pull out your dipstick, just set it up out the way. Then you'll just want to take the tube and put it right down in that hole. So let me adjust this so we can reach it. And you'll just want to shove this tube right down inside of there. Make sure it's all the way down, and then you just come back over here, pump it up, and you should start seeing oil come out, and there you go. So you just pump it for a little bit, about 10 or so times, and it'll just suck out and go down in the bottom of that container. So once we're done here, we'll be on to the next step. Alright, so to get to the oil filter, you gotta remove the front of this little plastic housing here. Yeah, there's some smoke coming out. It's still slightly warm, so just watch to make sure you don't touch anything. It's going to burn you. So you want to pop that off. Right there is the oil filter. You can either get a 25 millimeter oil socket and get that off, or sometimes these will come off by hand. It really depends on who changed your oil last time and how tight it is. So let's get that off real quick. Once you locate the oil filter like I just showed you, you'll want to take it off with one of these little wrenches. If you have one, I actually went to go buy this, and this is an Autocraft brand. Do not buy it, it's junk. For one, as you can see, it grips it if you can push it down, but mine was too tight. It does not grip very good. So if somebody's over tightened this like it shouldn't be, this is not going to work for you. So I would just recommend not buying this brand, because if you look online, after I got home, you can see that the reviews kind of all suck too. But I ended up getting it off just with the old wrench just right here on the top. Just like, it's not really a recommended way to do it, but this I already had, and that sucks, so I didn't want to go all the way back to the parts store again. But we got it off. Outside of that, it'll unscrew. When you go to take this off, you want to lift it out. And I can't really show you this part because I can sort of get you, but when you pull it out, you'll see the oil and stuff, you want to hold a paper towel underneath this not to get everywhere. So I'm gonna do that and pull this out real quick. That way I don't get oil everywhere. I don't have a cameraman or anything, so I can't really show you that, but you'll get the point. Alright, so we're back here in my kitchen right now. So this is the housing once you unscrew it out. So you'll see the filter cartridge right here that you'll want to pull out, and you can then discard that. You also have 3 O-rings. So you have one here, and one here that you'll be taking off. So once you got those 3 O-rings I was talking about off, you want to take your filter. I specifically have a Mercedes branded filter. You can also get I think it's MAN brand filter. They're the same ones that actually make these. These are just a fleece filter cartridge here. And I will always recommend, if you're doing the full 10,000 mile oil changes, buy fleece. Don't cheap out on a paper Chinese filter. It could hurt you in the long run. So also in this package is your brand new O-rings, the ones you just took off. So you want to make sure that to install those O-rings back, some of these, they should mostly just go back on. Should be a lot easier to put back on than the ones that you just took off, because they become hard usually after being on here forever, and that's just a common thing with rubber. So alright, so you see those are all back on, and then the filter itself will slide right down in there just like that, and you'll be ready to stick that back in the car. When choosing your oil, you have lots of varieties for your car, and a lot of people are going to say, you know, a certain brand is better than another brand. To me, that's all opinion, and that is based on your brand preference. So I'm not going to get into brand specifics such as, you know, Pennzoil, Mobil One, or whatever. I just specifically have these because these are the ones I have used and I'm planning to use. So when you pick your oil for your Mercedes-Benz, before you put it in, your main thing that you want to look for, regardless of brand, is on the back. There is a approval number. The Mercedes C300 that I'm putting the oil in today actually has a 22.9.5, whatever this approval number is, by Mercedes-Benz. It's the spec oil that would have been in the car from factory. So you can actually order that from Mercedes if you want. I've never actually even quoted to see how much it is, because I can just assume if they're charging you $300 or so for a service, that the oil itself, if you tried to order it, is very expensive. So as you can see, this works on various other models, so it doesn't have to just be a C-Class like mine is. You would just need to make sure you check whatever that approval number is. Almost all the oils will say on it, let me see, yeah, right here, Mercedes-Benz. This one has the 0.3 and the 0.5. This one actually works on a couple other variants. So like I said, you just have to check and make sure it works with your vehicle. I always run synthetic, full synthetic, because I do the full 10,000 mile intervals. I'm not sure if you can run normal conventional oil. You more likely can. You're just going to have to change the oil more often, but in the manual book, if you read, it specifically says full synthetic, and I like to stick with factory recommendations, and that's what I would recommend you doing also. But outside of that, that is your choice. Just make sure it has that approval rating, and everything else should be good. Real quick thing before we stick this back in that I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you oil up these little seals before you put them in with some fresh, new, clean oil, and then you'll want to stick it back in and screw it back down. Like I said, you don't want to over tighten it, so I typically just do it by hand. And it's kind of slippery, so I'm gonna grab a towel and get that tightened up real good, and then we'll be ready to fill her up. I hope y'all enjoyed that video and that it helped you out in some way. You should never be scared of taking care of your own oil, and you should never take that to the mechanic, or at least the Mercedes dealership itself, and have that oil done, because they're just a rip-off. But like I said, you can check out the links in the description to reset your own service monitor on your dash, and there'll also be a link to where you can see all the different things that they inspect or look at every different service at the Mercedes dealership, so that way you can take care of that yourself also and never have to worry about spending money that's unnecessarily needed. Just take care of everything yourself. As always, have a nice day. Peace.